Okay, this is the lasagna that's going to set the lasagna world on its side, literally. Look at this lasagna. Oh, it's hot. It's red, green, and white. It's the Italian flag laid on its side. And I'm also going to do something a little, it's not necessary, but I don't know, sometimes for overkill. I'm going to put a little bit of white truffle sauce on the white layer, just a dab there. And I'm going to put a little bit of pesto. Sorry, it's store-bought pesto. On the green layer, just on half of it there, not on a whole layer. And this goes, with how you eat this, which is really an important aspect of designing it this way. Now, for the red layer, no, I'm not a barbarian. I don't have any red sauce here. And anybody that puts ketchup on lasagna, come on, you can do better. So anyway, thanks Vincenzo's Plate. Thanks Chef James. Thank Andy Can Cook. Thank Chef Jean-Claude Pierre, even though he's French. He'd probably figure out a way to make it red, white, and blue. You watch. So the thing about this lasagna, once again, is you can combine it as you wish on your plate. This is a green bite, right? It's just green. It's just I use spetzel on this. Somebody, if you have a better idea for the green layer, please shoot me a comment. I know it's guys, excuse me. Those guys I just mentioned, you know, the spetzel is not, I didn't make it spicy, I just made it kind of plain. I just blanched the spetzel. And that's why a little bit of this pesto with the spetzel is good. This one I got a little bit of white with the green, so it's got a little bit of bechamel fungi, bechamel with mushrooms, you know. And that makes a different type of flavor than the first bite. You know, I said this is going to possibly set the lasagna world on its side. You know, it's kind of a pun, but really serving it this way, with the layers pointing up, so you can see the red, the green, and the white layers. It's so much fun to eat. A regular lasagna, traditional lasagna, as good as they are, when you serve it this way with the layers horizontally, I'm not going to say every bite's the same, because you got big chunks of cheese in some bites, you got meat in other bites, you got variety in the lasagna as you eat it, which is good. And it's good if you just mix it all up and eat it. It's, you know, it's great. But this is a way to play with your food and enjoy how things are in their component forms and, you know, and mixed up. Now this bite has got a little bit of red, a little bit of white, and a little bit of green. And none of the tartufo, which is, tartufo is Italian for truffles, none of the tartufo or the pesto on it. And that, it doesn't even need these additional sauces. But I had a piece before, and I really like this. A little bit of tartufo with the bechamel mushroom all by itself. I just got a little bit of red on this one. It's so fun. You know, I'm just an upstart with all this. You know, I like to cook. I just learned how to cook a year and a half ago, you know, to really cook. And thanks again to those guys, Vincenzo's Plate, Chef James, Cooking with Andy, Chef Jean-Claude Pierre, and the other guy I watch a lot, Not Just Another Cooking Show. These are, you know, go to these guys first. Check out their way of making this, because all the components that come together in this dish, you can find their way of doing things and sort of, you know, vector in on the way you want to bring it together. And it's fun, and I'm hungry. So, bon appetit. And feel free to just skip ahead to the end of the video, because that's where, the thing gets assembled, if you care about that. But you can do it your way. That's the beauty of it. Bon appetit. Hello, welcome to my kitchen. I've only been cooking for 1.5 years, but thanks to people like Vincenzo, Chef James, John Paul, Luis, different people out there on YouTube, I've been able to learn to cook a lot better. 1.5 years is not nothing, but it's also nothing compared to a lifetime of experience. Also, I've got some friends up on the hill here, that direction. I'm here in Central Umbria, and everybody here knows how to cook, and everybody really appreciates good food and is critical in a friendly way of food. That's why it gets better and better, I think. But 2 of them are professional chefs, 2 of guys I hang out with, and so they've been a good influence. In any case, get on with it here. Okay, so throwing in the sausage and the garlic. You see here the oil is not even hot yet. It's not even bubbling. Getting the oil hot ahead of time, I don't know what that does. Maybe somebody can comment on that. If there's really any true value in it. It seems to be the habit of a lot of folks. Anyway, what we're going to do here is just on a very, very low heat, start to let the sausage cook and let the garlic cook along with it. Okay, so it's starting to sizzle here a little bit. It's been 2-3 minutes on that low heat. Garlic is still nice and white where it's separated from the meat. See those little pieces? Let's dig one out here. See the garlic? It's just maybe slightly clear a little bit, that piece. This piece is still pretty white. So I'm just going to keep mixing this up a little bit. And when this is done, I'm going to set this aside. This is Norcia sausage, which is something, it's not exactly a sweet Italian sausage. It's something very, very special that I'm very lucky to be able to get. But you can use the sausage of your choice. I would recommend a sweet sausage, not a picante or a hot sausage, because it's lasagna, and there's a lot of other flavors in here that gotta, work their way around in this. So we'll just keep that working. Okay, this sausage and garlic is done. Look, none of the garlic is even slightly browned. Not slightly browned, it's clear, like the nice clear onions would be. And I even took my spoon a minute ago and my spatula, went like this, and a piece flipped onto the stove, and I tried it. It was sweet and gorgeous, just that little piece of garlic. So this is done. We're going to kill the heat on this and set it aside for now. Okay, I may be a little bit over my head on this lasagna. This is the pan it's going into, and these are the ingredients. Okay, so the idea here is we're going to take a nice fresh lasagna noodle. I'm going to make 6 half layers. A layer of red, a layer of white, a layer of green. Now, what's it going to be? The layer of red's easy. It's this sauce I made yesterday. It might or might not be these frozen dotterini I brought out of the freezer. I'm going to think about that. They're frozen. I don't know. They're fresh, though, so that's nice. That's the red layer. That's the easy layer on the bottom. Now, the next layer is going to be a nice creamy, what's it called, bechamel sauce. And it's made basically from butter, milk. I don't have the flour out here. And I'm going to put the mushrooms in the bechamel. So that's going to be the middle layer, which is the white layer, along with some cheese. And I'm going to use some ricotta, a little bit of fresh mozzarella. I don't have buffalo mozzarella, and some provolone. Okay, it's not dried provolone, it's fresh provolone. So that's the white layer, and the cheese will get used also a little bit in the red layer, and which brings us to the green layer. So I was thinking, and I don't know how to do this. I just went to the store. I'm telling you, I just went to the store and looked for green stuff. I had a little bit of idea what I was, going in there for, because spinach is big in Umbria here. I never liked spinach as a kid, but they make it well here. So I'm going to incorporate a little bit of spinach. And I've got basil from a pot outside, but can't see the pot from here. But I don't want to cut down the basil yet, So I'm thinking basil, and there's a way maybe I could put some green olives in here that'll be good. We'll see as we go. And then this is a really weird thing I found. Spätzle con spinaci. Spätzle's a German thing. Spatzel. It's more pronounced up there, as I was told today. But this is it's a pasta. It's a pasta with spinach rolled into it. It's not a traditional Italian pasta. It's a German pasta. So that's going to be my definite one on the top layer here. All this spätzle. As much basil and spinach and olives possibly, and pesto, then I can jam in there. I'm going to figure this out by the time I'm done cooking. And, I'm sure it's going to be good. I'm sure you could cook it better than I can. You can prepare it better than I can. But that's only if you listen to these experts. Vincenzo, Chef James, Chef Jean-Claude, people like that go to Vincenzo's channel and see who he's critiquing and working with. That's a good idea of alternate types of opinions you want to listen to that might, harmonize with the way you think a little bit better. So, it's going to be a pasta. Okay, so one of the layers in this pan of lasagna is going to be the white layer. It's going to be red, green, white, and green. That's my vision for this new Italian lasagna. I don't know. I know it's going to be good. So this layer is, I decided to go with, to get the white layer. Of course, there's going to be some cheese, but let's start with bechamel sauce. And this is straight from Vincenzo, okay? More or less straight from Vincenzo. If I screw up, it's not his fault, okay? And so he says 25 grams of butter, 25 grams of flour, and 250 milliliters of milk. I think I'm going to double that. I don't know why, because I got a lot of mushrooms here. And I don't know if this is all going to go into the sauce, but if it doesn't, there's ways you could put this away, keep it in the fridge, use it for a pasta later, something like that. Okay, so there's nothing wrong in my book with carrying flavors over in the pan from one to the next. So in this pan, I just cooked up, that noce sausage with garlic. And you could see the garlic in here. Well, let's not dwell on this too much, but the garlic's perfect. Anyway, that's become a recent point of pride for me, to get that garlic and the onions perfect. It's important. So in this is a little bit of leftover sunflower oil. People use extra virgin olive oil. I don't think they always do, because sometimes you're just wasting the oil when you're frying things. So in this way, I'm carrying over this flavor of the sausage and the garlic, which is in with this little tiny bit of oil in the pan, into these mushrooms. So I'm just going to cook these mushrooms up, let the mushroom juice come out, and then set them aside. Okay, these mushrooms have been sitting here for just maybe a minute and a half. they've soaked up some of the oil, it seems, from the pan. You know, the oil from this sausage and garlic. And so I'm just going to throw a little bit of, I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, Evo, to, make sure they're not too dry. Just let them cook without getting them burned. And these are not porcini, maybe I should have got porcini, but I think these mushrooms are going to be okay in here. It's going to make a nice bechamel, mushroom bechamel. I'm starting to think I should start chopping some of these up. Pieces are a little bit too big for my sauce. You know, personally, I like big pieces, not too big. But let's just cut them up a little bit, not too much. And that's the way I like to do it. You can do it the way you want to do it. I mean, I could understand completely people dicing these into much smaller pieces. And, you know, I could even see versions of this pasta, you know, back in the U.S., Betty Crocker style. I'm sorry to say it, but you could use Campbell's mushroom soup on this layer. It's bechamel and fungi. And possibly a good fungi, like porcini. I'm taking it down one notch here. Just use like regular, the Italian equivalent of Pennsylvania white mushrooms, which is a very good mushroom. But, yeah, you got to do what you got to do. And it's not to say it's going to be bad, just watch all the preservatives and stuff in there and make sure that whoever you buy your mushrooms and oil and so forth from is using good ingredients. So we're starting to get a little bit of reduction here. They're starting to soften up a little bit. So I'm just going to put the lid on this, leave the heat low, and just give them a couple minutes here. Okay, I don't think I'm going to regret this, but this is dried fresh parsley. I had a little bit too much for a recipe last week. I picked a little bit too much. So I'm just going to throw a bit of it in there because parsley and mushrooms apparently get along pretty well. So let's just go ahead and give it just a little bit there and see how that tastes in the end. Okay, here's my fungi, mushrooms, a little bit of parsley. Now look here at the liquid that's come out. I'm not sure what to do here. It's a little bit too liquidy to put into my bechamel, I think. I'm not, so geez, I wish I had a hotline to Vincenzo. What should I do at this point? You know, his fungi, well, he did it with porcini. Were browned and nice, and I'm not sure how much liquid is left, but I'm going to go ahead and let this cook a little bit and just boil off. Just let it cook on, you know, very low heat here, super low heat. Can you see that? Super low heat. And just let that evaporate. And, you know, the only issue I have with that, just letting this evaporate, is that it smells so good. It smells good, which means there's flavor molecules escaping into the air. Oh! But, yeah, with everything else going on in here, I think it's going to be good. So I'm just going to let that simmer a little bit longer and then take it off the fire to put into the bechamel sauce a little bit later. Yep, bechamel sauce. Okay, time to call it. There's not a lot of water left in here, but just some oil. So this is going to go aside for the moment. You gotta love these non-stick pans. Come on. Oh, I lost a mushroom there. No big deal. Come on out here, mushrooms. There we go. Oh, by the way, these mushrooms, they're called fungi pratiola a fette, which means champagne mushrooms. Now, how can that be bad? Now, I've got some in my pan here. I'm going to scrape these out before we go on to the next step. Okay, so when I say scrape, I should have said slide, because there's no scraping involved. this pan is ready to go. And in it, we'll make the bechamel sauce. And this is the proportions that Vincenzo uses. Let me turn this heat down a little bit. That pan's a little bit hot. Maybe that's right. I think that's okay. And the butter's starting to melt. And I probably should be using a whisk for this. But I remember a guy, Dan Query was his name. I don't know what became of him. I met him in central Pennsylvania, but he cooked as a sous chef for a while and knew how to make a roux, he called it, which is very similar to, well, it's just a start of bechamel sauce. So that's, our butter is good, right? Look at this. It's not boiling or anything. It's just melted. And now in goes the flour. And here, remember, 50-50 or whatever, for the same weight of flour as you have butter. I shouldn't stir this flour up on the sides, but whatever, we'll fix that. And this is going to get put together and stirred very well, very thoroughly during its entire process. Now, I've seen some sources that say this should become bubbly before we start with our milk. And I don't know. What that implies to me is that it's a certain temperature that this will reach. If it becomes bubbly, that means something's boiling in there, right? And this is a nice Italian butter and flour. And it's pretty smooth. That's good. But soon in goes the milk. Okay. So, a little bit at a time, the milk. I'm going to go ahead and let that... I want to see some signs of some bubbling, because that means it's, as I said, it means it's reached a certain temperature, probably the boiling point of the oil in the butter, which is also just an indicator that the flour has come to a certain temperature and has cooked a certain amount and reached some kind of a physical state. You know, this is all really cooking. It's advanced chemistry and physics, but nobody understands it well enough. So it's still an art, the most ancient art of humanity, cooking. Oh, I saw bubbles. Yeah, I see bubbles. Okay, so the way I'm going to do it, just for the hell of it, no, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to just go ahead, I'm going to go ahead with the original idea. Put my milk in the middle here slowly. And start to incorporate things. Okay, so, a little bit of milk. Yeah, just putting in a little bit for now. I see it bubbling around the edges, so that's good. So let's get this milk started stirring here. And then add a little bit more. And clean off that mushroom, and leftover mushroom. Remember, this has got those flavors in the pan, left over in the pan. Yeah, it's great. This idea of carrying over flavors, with some kind of a purpose, so that you can keep all these flavors. Oh, that's getting a little bit cakey there or something. I don't know. I think I better put more milk in. Quite a bit more milk. Yep. And keep it moving. Now, they normally cook this in a little saucepan like this, but I don't really have a stainless steel. I don't have a stainless steel saucepan, so I can't really whisk this. So this is probably not the best way to mix this. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and get a whisk, though, even though it's a non-stick pan, because I think this needs to be, where's the whisk there? There we go. Oh. I think that helps. I'm trying to do this without scratching my pan. And I think this is why those deeper stainless steel pans, you know, about this shape, more or less, that kind of basic soup pan, or if you will, are nice. But a whisk with non-stick does not seem like a good way to go to me. Something very gentle here and just barely touching it against the bottom of the pan. And it looks a little lumpy now. I think it's going to smooth out if I keep stirring this. And it is starting to look like a bechamel. Oh yeah. Okay, now I'm going to add the rest of my milk. Okay. So I'm going to put this away. Get the spatula. Just keep this moving until it starts to thicken up. Because that's what the flour and the butter do. The flour specifically. It somehow releases some starches. I don't know the chemistry, but it releases starches which act as thickeners. In fact, I'm almost thinking I'm going to let this thicken up with the mushrooms and pour it on as one. It's white enough for what I'm intending to do. And I'm not sure that this might not be too many mushrooms. But in they go anyway. Those little bits in the bowl, I'm just going to eat them. Because, yeah. So here's a mushroom bechamel sauce. Fungi in Italian. Mushrooms are simply fungi. And I don't know what white champagne mushrooms are. I think they're just a very good little white mushroom. Very similar to the Pennsylvania mushrooms that come from western Pennsylvania called, what are they called? I forget what they're called. It's just it's a fairly common little kind of a button mushroom. So there we go. And let's taste this. Let me cook it a little bit more before we taste it. And let's let it thicken up a little bit. Because now we're really getting the mixing of the flavors. So let's get a little bit of taste here on this spoon. Okay, that's a little way to go. The buttery taste is good. Now, don't be concerned about tasting off the spoon, because these things, as soon as you put the spoon back in there, if you have any sort of a bacteria in your mouth or whatever, you're worried about, oh my God, how can I taste off the spoon and put it back in there? Well, come on, let's be serious. This is at a temperature, it's coming to a temperature that will completely destroy any sort of bacteria. Now, right now, it's very low. We still have some steam coming off. Let me turn it up just a touch. Bring this back to something just below a boil. Because one thing I have learned is do not boil milk in these sort of sauces. It needs to come up to the point where it's starting to get thick. And when it does, we're going to put it aside, and I hope it all fits in this bowl. Back with these few mushrooms that are left there. Well, a few less now. Yeah, they're very tasty little mushrooms. But these are much less expensive than porcini. Very good. They're fresh. The only porcini I've got at the moment are in the freezer. And when I went to Perugia today, the porcini truck was not along the highway. Can you see this is starting to get a little bit thick? As you stir it here, you see how that goes? I don't know if you can see that or not. But it is starting to thicken up just a little bit. So we keep this going, and this is going to be the second layer of our lasagna. We which is going to be a red, white, green, tricolor lasagna. Oh, I forgot almost to put in the nutmeg, which is called here noce moscata. Now, this one's old. I'm going to throw it away. Throw it away. Throw it away. This one's fresh. That's what's going to go in here just a little bit. So, let's bring it over here. So, get this open with one hand. Okay, without putting the lid in there. Yes, indeed. And a little bit of nutmeg, which is actually used in a couple of other dishes here. It's a really important thing. That's not too much. It might look like a lot, but this is like, in 500 milliliters of milk, right? Which is, just a second here, just a second. I'm trying to get the lid back on this. Fine. Over. Yeah, which is a pint, right? It's a pint. 500 milliliters, a half a liter, in other words. See there? 300, 400, half a liter. That's 500 milliliters. It's just a little bit less than a pint. The amount of nutmeg I put in here is like half a teaspoon. It's subtle is best. And you can see now this is thickening up. I'm sure you can see this on camera. This is becoming nice and thick. And I'm going to keep on going here. I think I'm going to get a bigger container to put it into than my bowl here. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Okay. This is a mushroom bechamel. A bechamel fungi. And this is what's going to form, along with maybe some cheese, the white layer of my red, white, and green lasagna. Well, it's not mine. It belongs to Italy. It's Lasagna dell'Italia, something like that. I don't know what to call it yet. But the beauty of this dish is, this white layer, you could make it pure cheese if you wanted to. The red layer, gosh knows what, you could make that. The green layer, gosh knows what, you could make it anything. But the way it's put together, you'll find interesting. Because that is what allows you to eat it in a fun way. Where you can taste this layer, taste that layer, taste the other layer, and they all have a little bit different characteristic. Okay, that's done. That is bubbling away. Okay, that's a bechamel. Let's taste it. Fungi bechamel. Molto buono. Molto buono. Very good. Heat off. You go aside. You go aside now. There's no way you're going to fit in that pan. No way. Well, I haven't measured the depth yet. Maybe it'll go. Let it spread out. Is it going to fit? We still don't know. It has to spread out. It might run over the edges. If it does, that's the way it goes. This is a major part of my green layer. Sapere di sapore, spetzel con spinaci. Spinaci. Spetzel is a German pasta, if you will. It's a noodle. It's fantastic, but it goes well with German cuisine. But this is Italian spinach. This is made in Italy. So this, when the Italians take something in, they perfect it. They make it better than it was. If it wasn't good, they throw it out. They forget it. So this is it's Italian spinach. You cook it for 3 minutes. So we're going to cook it for 2 minutes. Then it's going to go into the lasagna pan. That's going to be a major part of our top layer the green layer here. Okay, my water's boiling. I should have salted this. I'll put a little bit of salt in it here. But in goes my spezzo con spinaci. Now, I've got a couple of seconds here until this comes back up to a boil. But any pasta, I think, needs to have a little bit of salt with it. A little bit. So in goes a little bit of sale. A little bit of salt. Come on, Pep. There we go. That's going to be enough. So this requires 3 minutes to cook, so I'm only going to give it 2 minutes. Okay, it's time to put it together. This is the fun part, which requires a lot of time to get everything to a good state where you're happy with it. So I'm going to put this is fresh basil. I'm going to put this aside for now. I'm going to put the spinach spetzel aside for now. Boom, boom. I'll just put it back here. And this parsley, I'm not even going to use it. So let's get our dish out here and start. Right, so the first layer is going to be the red layer. The red layer is going to be, well, you have to put a little oil in first. You know, spread that around a little bit. I'm going to have to pause here for a second because I'm going to have to wash my hands a little bit. Yeah, maybe not. My right hand, I've got the oil on. You gotta get up on the sides of the dish here too. Well, a little bit more oil down there. Okay, and then goes in our pasta. Then our pasta goes in. So while I'm spreading this oil around here, I'm gonna try to be coordinated and show you this pasta. Can you read that? I can't read it in the screen. Farnelli, Lasagna Nuovo. It's fresh pasta. You know, you don't have to use this. You know, if you can't get fresh pasta, I feel sorry for you. But you know, you have to take the pasta noodles from the store and boil them up and make them al dente because they have to finish cooking in the oven. Now let's just should I pause? Should I just keep going? Let's just keep going. Our bottom layer here is going to be, I have to pause. I have to get a spoon for my sauce. The sauce is the first layer. Now, let's try to do it without. I'll get a spoon in a minute. So you need to start with a little bit of sauce on the bottom, oil on the bottom, and, you know, get that sauce spread around there a little bit. And remember what we're trying to end up here with is a green, white, red pasta. Okay, so what I'm doing now, if you look at the size of this pan, that little layer there that's not covered by this particular pasta, if you make your own pasta, this is not a problem. I'm not saying it's beyond my skill, but it's beyond my level of endurance to make that. That's for people, such dedicated people. So you cut your pasta. So I've got 2 pieces here now. Now I can make a little bit of an overlap here and put my piece of pasta in there and take a look. And you see how it's going up into the corners? This is going to be a good thing. It's going to make that crispy and nice, which is a Vincenzo addition to this. Although he didn't actually have to make it because I always like those corner pieces with a little bit of crispiness. So now, here goes my red layer, right? Let's make sure that this seam here between the 2 pastas is sort of pressed down a little bit. I could probably get a little bit of egg and seal that if I wanted to, but it's not necessary, at least for the bottom layer. So in goes a healthy dose. Yeah. No, it's enough. Yeah, it's enough of red sauce for the bottom layer. Okay. I'm going to bring it out there and get that around, up onto the edges a little bit, up onto the sides of the pan, because I want a little bit to actually burn or caramelize, you know. So that's the red layer. Let's see if that's deep enough. No. Well, when you cut it, I think it will be. So, the next layer. Okay, so we need to put on this layer and every layer some cheese, and this is some soft provolone cheese, and I'm not going to put it onto the edges because I want, when you cut into this, in fact I'm going to kind of base this on my pan. I'm going to make 3 rows of cheese, so when you cut down through this you don't even see the cheese. That's the idea here. Put some cheese out here at the corners, right, and then here in the middle, and like, because this cheese, or this lasagna, excuse me, is supposed to, when you cut it open, present you with red, white, and green. So the cheese, if the cheese goes out here in the corners, that's enough. So I'm going to get a nice bite of cheese for everybody in their piece. This is designed to be cut into 9 pieces, and there, that's enough cheese. No. This person here needs a little bit more cheese on that corner piece. Okay, and this one too. A little bit more provolone. And now let's get some, a little bit of mozzarella on there. And a piece of mozzarella for you. Boom, boom, boom. You know, you could rip this apart with your hands easily enough. But here it is on the cutting board, so I'm just going to cut it. Mozzarella. This one has a little bit more mozzarella than Parmigiana. Not a problem. That centerpiece, I always feel bad for the person who gets the centerpiece because I don't get those crispy edges. Maybe they don't like those crispy edges, so everything works out. But here we go. Okay, so got some provolone and some mozzarella for everybody. Okay, now this layer, based on this pan, is 9 pieces. And I've got my provolone on there and my Parmigiana. Now goes on a little bit of I got my provolone and my mozzarella. Now goes on a little bit of Parmigiana, just because it's good. You know, I'm just concentrating on the areas with the cheese. Because when I cut this, I want it to be red, white, and green. Or, in the proper order from the flagpole out, green, white, and red. This is the Italian flag thing, and it's, I don't know, it's fun. I'm having fun with it. So I'm going to put this down, another layer of pasta, push it out into the edges there in the corners so they fold up. They're going to get crispy and nice, and I have to cut this piece in half again. So I'm going to pause here while I cut this piece. Okay, so I need to cut this piece. It needs to be about this wide. Yep. And, okay, so I'm going to cover up, you see there's a little bit of red here. I'm going to cover that piece up nice, give it a little bit of overlap. And there's a reason I'm trying to keep these corners folded out into the corner of the pan and up on the sides of the pan. Didn't do a very good job on this side. But anyway, that is, I want to keep the different layers from mixing too much. You know, so it has something to do with when you eat it. Maybe you've seen that already. Depends how I edit this video. Next is the white layer, okay? The white is for the north of Italy, where whatever. They're the snow and the mountains, right? This is the bechamel sauce. And it's a bechamel with fungi. Oh, it smells marvelous. So, okay, in it goes. This layer, I don't think is going to need any cheese, but I might put some in anyway. I don't know. So, we cooked that up a minute ago. And I'm going to spread that around in there. Get it up to the edges nicely. And what I want to do here is to try to end up with each layer being something you can enjoy all by itself. Okay, the green layer is going to be the spetzle. Now, this spoon isn't clean, so let's just use my hand. and put the spatula on there. Still a little bit hot. And what was this? I forget how many grams of spatula this was. But it's nice and green. And we're not done with this green layer yet. I might have to go backwards and put another white layer and another red layer. We'll see. I'm getting close to the top of the pan here. I'm about 30 centimeters, maybe an inch and a quarter or so, away from the top of the pan. So I want to fill that pan up. But on this layer, I decided it should be nice and cheesy. I don't know why, because I think the spatula would be great with cheese. The bechamel layer, I don't think it'd be great with cheese because it's cheesy enough. And if you cut down through and you don't like that, then you just eat 2 or 3 layers in a spoonful or a forkful. And you can make it the way you like it as you eat it, which is, I don't know, it's more fun. I think you just enjoy the food more. So here's some fresh mozzarella going on here, and also the provolone, and let's see, that's fresh mozzarella. I want to make sure I get a little bit of each of these in each portion. That's why I'm dividing it out here. You see, it's 9 pieces here, 9 sort of zones, because that's the way I want to do this. When people bite into these pieces, here's the more provolone. I want them to get a little bit of surprise by the cheese in the middle, but the exterior experience, I want to be seeing that red, green, white layers. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of provolone on there. Okay, so I'm trying to combine my styles here. Vincenzo has been massively influential because his love of the family and cooking good food that people will like, that's absolutely essential. Then James has another approach as the rest of the commercial chefs. They have to make food the public will like. Okay, so here we are. I've got my cheeses there. What's next? Okay, now I'm going to add another layer. So this is a half sheet I had from before. Now I basically got the pasta I want here, right? I've got the lasagna I want. It's got the red layer, it's got the green layer, it's got the white layer. Now what to do from here? I don't know. I forgot one ingredient here. I was going to put the sausage on top of this green layer because it's so good. It's just good. This is a Norcia sausage. Let's go ahead and do it. I cut that a little bit too thin. Let's go do it. Let's just put another little strip on here to barrier things up. And I think I'm going to put a red layer on top of some sausage just for fun. It'll look good. It'll taste good. And I'm going to use this spoon, which has got the bechamel sauce on it, to put my sausage on with. And if that gets mixed up, who cares? Right? So that's my Norcia sausage, which sort of is a Umbrian thing. And then a little bit more sauce on top, and of course cheese on top of that. And we're getting there. I'm going to mix that all up a little bit. Just put all that sauce on there. And I don't know what to tell you. I mean, some of the guys I reference here, Vincenzo, Chef James, they could probably offer some practical tips about how juicy you want this whole thing to be. How liquidy you want the whole thing to be. if it's going to bake. When you put it in the oven, is it going to bake or is it going to boil? There's two different things, and kind of two different outcomes. And so here, oh, it's there. What am I going to do here with this? I don't know. I got a little strip of pasta left over. Let me cut it in a couple of pieces. What I'm going to do here with this is I'm just going to show people where to cut, okay? This is just an indication. It's not exactly precise. I need one more of these to show that this is like a 9-piece pasta, okay? Which is, I don't think, a bad idea, because whoever takes this out of the oven, you know, going into Chef James' world, might not be the same person that put this pasta together. So there it is, these strips on top. Then what? I don't know, I've got a little bit of space in the pan. I have to do something with it. Okay, this is not the last step by any means, but this lasagna, which is probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 kilograms, it's a good amount of food, needs to go in the oven. Okay, so here's what we got going on. That's fresh basil on top, which is baking down and crisping. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I could see here we got our red layer, our white layer, our green layer. We're gonna see how that comes out when we cut it. I'm gonna close this back up because we got about a half an hour to go yet. I started this. Okay, this is that lasagna right out of the oven just a few seconds ago. So I can't really touch it. I have to just tap it a little bit here to move it around. And yeah, that's what it looks like. And I think this is perhaps okay. But now it has to cool a little bit and then go in the refrigerator there. And then tomorrow we will slice it and dice it and see if indeed it is a good lasagna. Okay, this lasagna is looking beautiful. It has to cool before it goes in the refrigerator. I'm touching it here. It's not quite cool enough because when I touch it down here low, it's still, you can't touch it for very long. You know, you want to let it, I'm going to cover it, but I want to wait until it gets a little bit cooler before I put it in the refrigerator. The only reason I'm covering it is to let the moisture stay in. I don't want it to get too dry. But it's looking good. Okay, from this direction, not perfect. No, not bad. Red, white, and green. Green, white, and red if we go from the flagpole out. Yeah, well, this direction's very good too. Green, white, and red. And remember this. Oh, this side's a little bit funny, low on the green. But the green, the white, and the red. The green is, a spätzle that I chose to use for this. And the white is a bechamel with mushroom, and then the red is a more traditional meat sauce. This side you can't even see the colors. But once we cut this open, it'll be fantastic. Okay, this morning I've got a very fun thing to do, and that's to show you the result of this experiment. There's nothing too experimental about it, except this is a new lasagna. It's a new type of lasagna. I'm sure it's been made before in some forms, but there's some aspects of this that are really good. Now, if you notice on the side here, this lasagna is green, white, and red. It's the Italian flag in a piece of lasagna. Now, I'm going to cut it out in a different way here because it needs to be served differently than normal lasagna, which allows you to eat it in a new way. And I think that's what I like about this. So it's going to be important to get it out of here. And this first piece, I'm going to just, okay, it came out okay. if you cut it like this at the end of the pan in this middle piece, before you try to get the corners out, it seems to come out nicer. But now I want to show you the second piece out. Okay. Now I could have done a better job. The red on the bottom, the white and the green on top. And in this case what I used was, I'm going to save that piece. I put this one into heat.